Hello, hello, and welcome to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday afternoon out there. First show of the week. Very excited to have you on board. And hope you're doing well, joining us from on the road, whether or at work or at home or whatever you're doing. Hello to everybody streaming at home on the YouTube, and everybody watching on PortMedia television as well. And of course, the loyal radio listeners. This is Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. So first show of the week, we got a couple great guests in house today. Nick and Brian Toolan. It's a little bit more of an alumni week here. Remember those guys? Those are some of the big football players a few years back for Newburyport. They're home, for the holidays, but the college break is still continuing. So we'll catch up with those guys in just a little bit. A couple of good Newburyport guys that I haven't seen in a couple of years. So very excited about that. Nick and Brian Toolan on deck. They will be our guests today. Week 4 of the government shutdown. Week 4. Pretty unbelievable story going on here. There's just a lot of people not getting paychecks, and around the country there's a lot of issues at airports. So at one airport in Atlanta talking about leave 3 hours for your flight, get there 3 hours early, which is pretty crazy, but that is what happens when you have TSA employees not getting paid. They are essential, but they're getting more and more sick calls, people that are just not going to come to work if they're not going to get paid. Can you believe that? Not exactly a shocker, right? Logan Airport has been luckily pretty good as far as that goes. They haven't, Logan has not had too many issues. Actually, I was reading on Twitter yesterday because I was curious if people were complaining about the lines at Logan or whatever. And they weren't. In fact, there was a lot of people were giving credit to all the TSA officials at Logan for keeping the lines moving inside the airport and all that stuff. So that is good news. Across the pond, British lawmakers have rejected Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal. Wasn't even close either. Huge margin. So that is happening this afternoon. Bill Maher, the Attorney General, nominee, President Trump's Attorney General nominee, going down today. Confirmation hearings. The first President Trump nominee since the Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court nominee. So this one's not going to be as dramatic, but of course he's going to be questioned on how he would handle the Russia investigation and whether he could go after the president and when the time would come for it and all that stuff. So those are the questions happening on Capitol Hill today. Governor Charlie Baker has named Kathy Jude Stein to lead the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. How about that? That formerly Wynn Casino, now the Encore Casino, getting close. I drive by it every day for work, and it's funny. Those talk about real work, by the way. Those guys on cranes way up there, 30 stories high and freezing cold weather. I was watching them this morning and just cringing as I had my coffee. That's real work when you're up there working on windows of those buildings in this cold and all that. But the Encore Casino getting close, and a new gaming commissioner today. That place is going to be beautiful too. It'll be interesting to see if they do all the concerts and all that there when it's all said and done. I think that is the plan, but the casino's getting close. It'll also be interesting to see if people go to Foxwoods still and Mohegan Sun. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. The Bruins and Celtics both losers last night. Celtics, I was just listening to the one of the sports shows coming in, and this is not exactly always a fair test of the climate because sometimes they're pretty negative, but man, oh man, are people down on the Celtics right now? Some of the teammates seem to be going after each other. Terrible game last night. Kyrie Irving was out, but you had just a terrible outing, just a no-show last night in Brooklyn. Celtics get smoked in Brooklyn. They'll look to get back on the winning track. Bruins lost a heartbreaker last night. I don't know if you saw that. They tied the game up in the final minute on a power play. Beautiful goal by David Krejci. And then 15 seconds into overtime, Montreal, those rivals, the Canadians, guy bats a puck out of midair to beat Tuukka Rask. Beautiful goal. Lucky, too. I think it's kind of lucky. Good hand-eye coordination, but kind of a weird goal. But Montreal gets out of there with a win last night. So it's a tough night for the Boston sports teams. 100 years ago today, it was 100 years ago today, the Great Molasses Flood in Boston. Just an unbelievable story for all the kids out there. Go read up on it. Just a tragedy. 21 deaths, I think it was, if my memory serves me correctly. but just the streets of the North End just completely flooded with molasses after this explosion, and it was horrible. It was just a horrible thing. You know, they said for decades and decades, they have stopped saying it. You can't say it anymore. I forget when they stopped, but for a long time, like decades after, they said on warm summer days, you could smell molasses still in the air in Boston, when, you know, things would heat up, and you could just smell with everything that had gotten into the earth, the molasses. So terrible story, but a historic day. 100 years ago today, the Great Molasses Flood. 10 years ago today, it's weird, one of those days where a lot of stuff happened on this day. 10 years ago today, the Miracle on the Hudson. Captain Sully Sullenberger landing that plane on the Hudson River in one of the most dramatic flights. It was all captured. It was New York City, Hudson River, so it's all captured on video. There's video everywhere, and of course you get the cockpit audio of Captain Sully Sullenberger saying, "We're going to be in the Hudson," and he got every single person. Nobody gets hurt on that. Unbelievable. Lands that plane safely in the Hudson. People jump on a boat, get out of there. They tow the plane in. Unbelievable rescue. Unbelievable story. Unbelievable piloting by Captain Sully Sullenberger. I saw him on some of the morning shows this morning, or at least one of the morning shows. I think he was on Good Morning America. Reliving it all, and he's just a cool, calm pilot. We'll take that guy any day. Although I think he's out of the pilot business now. He seems to be just doing these analysts and all that stuff. So, but 10 years ago today, the Miracle on the Hudson, that actually really feels like yesterday to me. Pretty crazy. Anyway, this is Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Those are some of the headlines right there. I will get out of the way. Both the Toolan brothers are in the house, so when we get back, we'll get going here with the Toolan brothers, Brian and Nick. Little alumni show again, which is always fun here on a Tuesday afternoon. Don't forget, follow us at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. That's at Joppa, Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. Keep it here. Good show just ahead. My name is Drew Moholland. It's Afternoon Drive. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday afternoon. We have a couple fun guests in the house today, a couple of Newburyport alums. We've had a few alumni shows here this post holidays. We got Nick and Brian Toolan. How are you, boys?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Haven't talked with you guys in a long time, actually.
It's been a minute.
What the heck is new?
Not a whole lot. I mean, after high school, it was working like 65, 70 hours a week, and then off around the country for 3.5 months, 13,500 miles.
And I was just thinking, we'll talk about that in a second. Wait, Nick, wave, just so everybody knows which one's next. Nick,
hey guys.
So we're going left to right. Nick and Brian. I struggle with it myself actually some days. I haven't seen you guys in a while. Okay, so Nick and Brian, left to right. So yeah, you guys took some time off after high school and kind of did just a cool thing, just the two of you guys. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, so basically, we were. I don't know.
Grab that microphone. Just don't be scared. I always tell people you can't break it.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, when we were juniors in high school, we were talking, and everyone freaks out about graduating high school just to go back to school the next year, And
right.
So we were thinking all right, I came up with the idea. I was like, I think I want to travel the country instead of go to school right away. And Brian was like, holy crap, that sounds awesome. I think I might do that with you. And so when we graduated high school, we planned it out. We bought a map. We mapped out our route, and then
completely changed. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you map it out the first time, it's not going to be the same as when you actually go on the road. But then we started working. Like Brian said, we were working 65, 70 hours a week.
What were you doing?
We were working at a few restaurants downtown.
Okay. Also doing landscaping.
Yeah. Shout out Brick and Nash and Sea Level.
Landscaping and doing some waitering and all that, just getting some cash for travel.
Yeah, exactly. And then we left in March, and then we were gone for 3.5 months. We went all the way down the East Coast, hit I think every state down the East Coast, including Florida, and then we shot out to New Orleans, stayed in New Orleans for the French Quarter Fest, and then we hit Austin, Texas.
Wow.
And then we did some backpacking in Texas, in southern Texas, and then we went through El Paso and New Mexico, and into Phoenix, Arizona, and then from Phoenix we flew to Hawaii and spent a week and a half in Hawaii, flew back, stayed another week in Phoenix, then drove up through Phoenix into southern Utah, spent a few days backpacking in Utah, and then we went to Idaho and Wyoming and Montana, spent some time at Grand Tetons and Yellowstone National Park, and then from there we went to Minneapolis and Chicago, and then we went to Detroit and then Toronto, and then spent a week in Montreal and came home.
Wow, did you miss any, Brian?
Oh.
Grab that mic for me.
Do I miss? Did he miss any?
He miss any locations?
Oh, let me think. He definitely missed some of the best parts. But
That sounds like a great thing, man.
oh, it was the best time of my life, hands
Really?
down. Hands down. I mean, especially like taking time off and then going to school afterwards, it really puts things in perspective in
Yep.
terms of what you might want to do, where you might want to live, like
Yeah.
meeting a ton of people.
And here you are back in Newburyport.
I know, but I'm ready to leave. But, thinking about going and working over at Yosemite this summer.
Oh, wow,
So,
nice.
Yeah, trying to be a lumberjack out there. Which would be cool.
So you guys are travelers. Who did most of the driving?
We split it. We split it.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny because so our car that we originally had, we had it and it broke down like a month before the road trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so we were like, we thought we were screwed.
It's a bad omen.
Yeah, bad omen. We were like, oh no, what does this mean? Our
Yeah.
car breaks down. We had to like go out. Luckily, my mom was selling her car, so she gave us the mom discount. So we bought her car.
Mom comes through.
Yep, but I actually had to teach Brian how to drive a Standard because
really? Yeah.
before we went on the road, he had no idea. I was driving a Standard for a while, and then right before the road trip happened, I was like, Brian, you gotta learn how to do this. And then so like in the beginning, I would say I probably actually did the most driving.
You did the most,
And then Brian, got his bearings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those. This is a big country, and when you're going across it like that, there's a lot of roads where it eventually becomes not like Boston, and there's a lot of you can go really straight without stopping for a long time,
yeah.
can't you?
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of roads that are like very steep that sometimes like we'd be going like when we were in Wyoming and we were going over the Grand Tetons, there was this bypass, and it was crazy. I was in first gear in my car going up at like 5-10 miles an hour, and these guys
Look at him, he's a professional now, first gear.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about, guys. Don't worry. But then everybody out there's got like a V8 truck that shoots up those things.
Really?
Everybody's going. It's like a 50-mile-an-hour road. I'm going like 15.
It's their version of four-wheel
Right.
drive.
Right. Yeah. No. People are prepared out in the West. That's for sure.
Very good. So what's you guys ever get sick of each other there on a long trip like that?
Definitely.
What state did that first happen in?
I'd probably say Florida, yeah.
Florida.
When we got down to Florida.
Florida can do that to people.
Yeah, definitely. Because I have a lot of family on the East Coast, so when we were going down the East Coast, it was kind of like more visiting family than checking out new places, and it wasn't really until we got out west until we really started seeing places I haven't seen before. And so like by the time we got to Florida, we were just like, I want to leave the East Coast. I want to get out, which caused kind of like tensions between us. And when you're in a car and, you're sleeping in Walmart parking lots, this is for everyone out there. If you're traveling, Walmart parking lots, you can stay there overnight without getting in trouble.
Really?
Yes.
So you were searching out Walmart.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those across the country. That's good. Well, cool. That's a great thing you guys did. So you took some time off before the college thing. We'll revisit the trip here in a little bit because I feel like you guys have plenty of fun stories there buried within the long trip. But I know a lot of these people remember you guys from big time football players at Newburyport. You miss those days at all?
Oh, I think about them all the time. But
I'm not gonna get teary-eyed here, are you?
Yeah. But I miss football.
One of you guys was battling back in. I remember, was it senior year? One of you guys had a bad injury, right?
Oh yeah, no, that
was you, Nick?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I wasn't very lucky with my injuries.
As your brother Brian here has a brace on his right leg right now. So.
Yeah, but at least he's out of high school. Because I kind of got screwed because when I was a junior, me and Brian became the first ever junior captains at Newburyport.
Yep.
And then the first game my junior year, I tore my ACL.
That was opening night? Oh.
Opening night, yeah. Out for the season. And then my fourth game senior year, I broke my ankle. And so, it was just, I don't know. It led
Couldn't
to
avoid the injury bug.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. And, it was funny. I actually, I got a call from the UMass head coach, and I was supposed to go to a UMass football game that day that I broke my ankle.
Oh, wow.
But I was like, kind of took that as a sign. I was like, maybe someone higher than me doesn't want me to play college football. But I was already thinking I didn't really want to play college football. Too many injuries.
That must have been a tough day, though. What did you tell him when he called? You're like, you're not going to believe this, but we got a little issue
I don't
here.
actually think I called him. I just don't think I showed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I wasn't in the best mood.
Down in the dumpster.
Yeah.
That must be tough to watch, Brian, when your brother has an issue like that.
I mean, both of us had our fair share of injuries. Our senior year, there's a day called Color Day at the high school,
Yep.
and the seniors pull a skit, and so for me and Nick, they had these two girls talking about how we were made from glass bones and paper skin, because both
You're
of
like,
us,
this is really funny, girls. Yeah.
thank you. And I screwed up my shoulders, and like you said, I'm in a knee brace right now.
Yeah, what happened now? What are we doing here?
Same old thing, man. It's football.
Yeah.
Never hurt my knees once playing 10 years of football, and then a second game back playing flag football at school.
Flag football.
Flag
Good Lord.
football. I know, man. I know it's crazy, but
What is the injury? Is it
it's meniscus. I'm hoping.
it's just a
my
fresh
meniscus.
injury.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So,
When did it happen?
Well, the first time it happened was like 3 months ago. It happened again like 5 days ago. So
before or after we booked this interview?
Before. Actually, when you called me, I was coming out of my first physical therapy.
Oh, okay.
It was the day after it happened.
Timing's everything.
Yeah.
Just hope you get better there. But you guys both landed at the same school too, right?
Right, at University of Maine in Orono.
Way up there.
Oh yeah,
We're not in Florida anymore.
No, we're not. We're in the deep south of the north.
How you liking it?
Oh, I love it. It's snowy right now. They have like 2 feet of snow. It's 5 degrees, but
Yeah.
you get used
Football
to that
weather,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Needless to say, you guys are very close.
Right.
What's it like being at the same school together? Did you ever think about going different ways? Were you like, you know what?
Oh yeah, we still are. I mean, we talk about it all the time. I'm still thinking about maybe transferring schools, just becoming an independent person. Once you're a twin for so long, it becomes different after a while. And I made so our first semester we're rooming together, and then this semester we're not rooming together.
The first step for me.
Yeah, exactly. The first step, and just like figuring all that stuff out. And I'm excited though, just different things.
That is cool. It does seem like every twin that is like you guys. It's funny. They seem to all be like. I'm trying to think of any twins that don't like each other. It's a weird bond, isn't it?
I've met.
Have you? You found? You know some?
I've met a few twins. I feel like you're either.
You got a better feel for the community.
I feel like
than
you're either like this, right, next to each other all the time, or you're mortal enemies, and that's just how. Because I've met a few twins who just
show up to school in different cars, leave school at different times with different people, and it's just like, damn, man, you're showing up in different cars. Like, what type of money you got, dude? Man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So it's either one or the other. Well, that's good. It must be. You guys are probably happy. It's a much easier life to be on this side of it, where you actually
most definitely
are so close and traveling the country together and all that stuff. So, but Maine is good. No football besides the flag football, which of course is clearly still a violent game.
I was actually against the UMaine football team, and these guys were going real hard, super hard. They're
I'm feeling too hard.
Way too hard. I got tackled. So that shouldn't have happened in flag football.
Oh, that's when the injury happened?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, that's what made it so annoying. I was like, man, come on. And then the next day, I was walking to my classes because, I didn't even have crutches at this point. I'm walking to my classes and
hobbling around.
Yeah, and I actually fell down the stairs.
Ooh.
And the guy who picked me up is the same guy.
No.
Yeah, I shit you not, man. I shit you not. It was awful. I was like, he's like, man, stay up. And I'm like, get away from me, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to come out of that. It's like irony at its finest. But
for real.
But he must have felt bad.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he noticed. So hopefully he felt that.
I probably noticed you falling down the stairs.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe I had something to do with this. I'm going to pick him up and run away.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's cool. Well, how about the college experience in general, though? You guys enjoy it? What's it like up there? I'm a big Maine guy, but I never quite go up that far. We get like the lake house a couple hours up, and Orono is like, it's up there, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
how long does it take from here?
So it's like 3.5 hours from Newburyport.
That's all right. I actually thought it would be longer, but okay.
So it's up there, but it's actually a pretty big school. It's like around 11,000 undergrads, so it's much bigger than people usually think about when they think of UMaine, and so there are a lot of kids, a lot of parties. So it's a fun school.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's cool. It's not. So like one thing that I really like about it is that and I've noticed from talking to like my siblings and like people I know, when like you go to big state schools, there's usually like a huge there's a huge like population of very wealthy people, right?
Yeah.
Which can be hard to relate to when you're like, you can't go out and spend $50 a night.
Right.
And so at Maine, there are a lot of people who are right in the same boat as you. There are a lot of broke college students. Even if you can't go out, you still have all your buddies who'll stay around with you because they can't go out either. So
that's not just an Orono thing. That's a college experience.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maine's cool. I really like it there.
2 feet of snow. I mean, I'm guessing there are a lot of house parties. Who wants to try to get out and find a place with 2 feet of snow? My goodness.
Yeah, not many people.
Barricade a bunch of college kids inside and see what happens.
And they're like,
stores on campus.
There are liquor stores on campus?
Oh yeah, there's a dispensary on campus.
Microphone.
There's a dispensary on campus.
A marijuana dispensary?
Yes, sir.
Oh wow, they are ahead of the game there.
Yes,
huh?
they are. Yes, they are. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing.
That debate is happening in communities nationwide right now.
Yeah, no, Newburyport including.
Yeah, exactly. Newburyport included. Yeah. But well, that's interesting. Liquor store on campus.
Well, actually, no. I don't think it's on campus, but it's like it's like right off campus. Though.
Right off
so
campus,
if you were to drive, it's like probably like a 2-minute drive off campus. Same with the dispensary. I don't think they're
strategically placed.
Probably like if there's the line, it's like right outside.
The school would say we have no liquor store.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, that's interesting. Again, we're joined here by Nick and Brian Toolan, a couple Newburyport alums, and they're at UMaine right now after some time off and a cross country trip. What did you say? 33 states.
33 states, 13,500 miles.
Do you guys have this itch to get to the other 17 now? Or?
Oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah, like Brian was saying earlier, he was saying he's gonna try to go out to California, but I'm gonna actually try to go out to California too, and along with a few friends from our school up in Maine.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, I can get a job out there as working in a national park. And if I can't...
Bad time to talk about that with the government shutdown.
I know.
We'll expect that to get back on track.
I hope so. And then... But, if I can't get a job out there in a national park, I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take whatever money I have, and I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to drive. I'm going to see what I can make of it, because I do know I have a cousin who lives in LA. I also, from working around in the restaurants around here, I actually have made friends with a lot of people who have a lot of connections out in California.
Yep.
And actually, in the last few days, I've seen them and talked to them, and they've told me how, I talked to this one guy that I actually haven't seen in a long time, but he was talking to me, and I was telling him how I wanted to go out in California. He was saying how I could get, he could get a recommendation, because he works in the State House, so he can get a recommendation for me from some guy in the State House, which would be cool.
But you don't seem necessarily picky though here.
I'll do anything. I just want to go. I've been to California once, and it was like, I think it was like 3 days. I was pretty young. I didn't really get to check it out. So, and that whole end of the country, I heard, is absolutely gorgeous. And
I'm almost envious of you guys because it's something everybody after high school you do, even like during high school when you kind of look at those post years, everybody like talks about exactly what you guys did, jumping in a car and let's go see the country. Like how many it's kind of like the time of your life to do it.
Yeah,
and so very few people actually do it.
Well, because most people, they're like, when they get out of high school, they go right to college, and then when they get to college, they're in college and they're like, I'm gonna go travel the world right out of college. And then when you're right out of college, you're only thinking about, I need a job. I need like
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, some people start families right out of college, and so by the time they can actually travel, it's like they have to be retired. They can't just have time to do it.
Brian, you guys mentioned mom earlier. How does she feel about all this traveling and plans? Does she miss you guys, or she love it that you guys are together?
Oh, she definitely loves it that we were together, and she definitely missed us, and she was definitely not the biggest fan.
She was against the trip?
Yeah,
she gave you the car, but she wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah. No, she was like, all right, well, if y'all are going on this trip, y'all got to have a good car. So I'll sell you mine. But
she knew she couldn't stop you at that point.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no stopping us. That was like the one thing we told her is like, you can feel bad. You can not want us to do it. Like, you can tell us we can't, so we didn't get any tickets, or we got pulled over once in Utah, but no tickets.
Utah, tell us that story. What happened there?
Yeah, so driving down the street, going 80 miles an hour.
Feels like you can go faster.
Right, yeah. I mean, you're on this road, no one's out there at all. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. You're looking around, seeing these mountains. Yeah, it's insane. Like, right before Zion, going over the Vermilion Cliffs. And, I mean, it was nice because going through Texas and everywhere up into that point, we were kind of being a little reckless on the road, but no one caught us. And
making up some time.
Yeah, right. And then after that, we were in Utah, and the guy pulls us over, and he's like, all right, so you got do you have your insurance card? And in Massachusetts, it's on your registration. You don't have to have an insurance card. Yep. And he was like, well, if you don't have an insurance card, we can actually impound your car. We were like,
things you don't want to hear in Utah.
Right. When you have no idea what an insurance card is. You're like, insurance card? What's that? And then, and he was a nice guy, though. We didn't get in any trouble. He just gave us a warning. We never had any trouble with the police after that. But
he eventually explained to you what an insurance card was?
Yes.
You explained that we're from Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly. And no, it was nice because we were like, man, it would really, we need to shape up right now because it would suck if we were, in Utah especially, there's all the laws in terms of drinking alcohol underage and smoking marijuana and speeding and all of that stuff. It's very strict out there.
So he actually threatened to impound the car on the spot, though, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, well, technically...
Mom's car?
Yeah, he's like, technically, we could impound your car right now. And I was like, let me call my mom real quick.
Nick has something he'd like to add to this.
But obviously we were sweet-talking him enough where, he threatens to impound the car, and then we get off with a warning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was waiting for the big ticket.
So obviously we did a pretty good job, getting out of this situation.
Was this not your first experience in this situation here, Nick? Or
getting pulled over by a cop, definitely not my first, but I've never gotten a speeding ticket. So I've actually never gotten a ticket before. Wear some wood so I can
I was just going to say the same exact thing. There you go.
Sorry.
You might have to get up and go to the wall. There you go. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm going to get a speeding ticket as soon as I leave this place now. So
that is funny. Did you guys find the place okay, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very good. I saw you walking in. It was my directions were good, I think. We had a couple girls from I think Pentucket on a couple weeks ago, and their athletic director was texting me like, where are they? I go, I don't know.
No, it was pretty easy as soon as you said the senior center.
Yeah. Well, I agree, but it happens. They eventually found the place, but we had actually a bunch of our stuff was down here today because we had that. Did you guys see that fire yesterday in Newburyport?
I heard about it.
Street?
Yeah, I was
pretty big.
Homesick last night or yesterday, but but I heard about it. My friend lost his power. I heard you guys lost power.
Yeah, we lost power, actually, to reboot some stuff here that usually I don't have to.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. It must have been pretty big to lose power and
I think
everything.
so. I don't think any injuries or anything. So, Newburyport Fire doing a good job as usual. You guys got a few more minutes to stick around here. We'll come back and do a little more.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. This is Afternoon Drive. My name is Drew Moholland. We're joined here by Nick and Brian Toolan, a couple of Newburyport athletic alums, a couple student alumni. First of all, right? Student first, but
Yes.
big time.
course.
You remember the names of the football field, of course, and we're kind of doing a little just catching up here on Afternoon Drive. So we'll do more of that when we get back. My name is Drew Moholland. Keep it here. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. We are joined here by the Toolan brothers, Nick and Brian. What would you say? There's a lot of them.
I said squat up.
There is a lot of them, but
Is squat up is that a old Clippers thing there?
No, it's just something I just said right now.
You just created
Felt
this
in the moment.
In the moment. You want to do like okay, we can hashtag or make T-shirts or whatever you want to do here.
Yeah.
Very
Make
good.
all the merch for it.
Brian and I were just talking off the air, but I was telling him that I am very much a morning person now, just the nature of my business. He said, Nick, he said you guys did most of your driving in the morning. Yes, lots of coffee for you guys. Is that
yes, I love coffee.
Cold brew.
Cold brew is nice, but
Are you guys like coffee snobs? Did you have to like get creative or where you stopped on the way?
no, I'm not a coffee snob. You know,
Because I am a coffee snob.
I just like I enjoy the taste of coffee, and that's where it originated.
Me too. Yep.
And then
You must have had plenty of places to try along the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, like no notable ones. I'm not. I didn't care.
Will
that
not be vouching for any businesses. Okay.
no. But yeah, we did actually all our driving in the morning. I'm sure Brian told you we didn't do. I don't think we drove once at night. I just
that's what he
don't like
Story
night
backs up.
driving. You know, like it's much easier to fall asleep at the wheel if you're doing night driving. If it's morning driving, you know, you get the first 4 hours out of the way.
A couple sunrises that are nice.
Oh yeah, when we were driving through New Mexico, I think we started driving because we left. We were at Big Bend National Park and we had to hike down the mountain, and we left real early, and then we were driving through New Mexico and watching the sunrise. And you know, like when you watch the sunrise out in the desert, it's like purple mountains, like you see, and like the sun is absolutely massive. Like you see the and then when you get into Arizona, you see the big saguaro cactuses on the mountains, and it's something to see out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's nice driving with that coming up.
Oh yeah, it is. You know.
What's the now? When say Nick, you're driving. Were you sleeping at all, Brian, or do you guys try to stay awake for each other, or is that the time to catch up?
We definitely try to stay awake with each other, just because like.
Good passenger.
Yeah, because it's annoying when you're driving and you're driving like 15 hours or even any amount of time, and you're looking over at the person next to you and you're tired and you know they're tired.
I hope my wife's listening, by the way.
She could use a lesson.
You said it, not me.
Hey, I did. But yeah, no, I mean, when you're tired and the person next to you is tired and they're passing out and you're just like looking over at them and you're like, I hate you so much because I have to drive. I just got to keep my eyes awake. That's all I need to do. And
Was that the root of a lot of the confrontations between you guys on the road?
I think most of the confrontation between us on the road was who's actually gonna drive, because there were times where we tried to do like the switch off, like I drive one time and then you drive the other time, and like it usually worked out because we didn't go when we were driving, since we were gone for 3 months.
Yep.
It wasn't like we were driving 15-20 hours a piece. It was more like the longest we ever did at one point was I think 9 hours, which is still a decent amount of time, but like not too bad. So like breaking it up was pretty easy. He would like I would drive 5-10 hours, something like that, and then he'd drive 5-10 hours, and
you guys have like checkpoints too, like you got to get to New Mexico by whatever.
Right. Yeah. No, he definitely did. And it was so driving through New Mexico, driving through El Paso.
That's Texas.
Oh, you're right.
Still working on the geography.
That comes second. But yeah, no, I mean, talking about all all this stuff in politics right now about like Mexico and everything.
Yeah.
You drive through El Paso, Texas, you really see what that stuff's about. And
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure there's no shortage of opinions along the border, right?
No, there really aren't. But no,
Must
it
be
was
a cultural shock for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole thing was a culture shock. Like going. We even like along the road, we like made it a point to go out and like stop at some of the worst places in the country. So we stopped in Southside Chicago. We stopped at the 9th Ward in New Orleans.
So Chicago for the gun violence.
Yeah,
just to see it.
Yeah, just to like check. Like I grow up in like one of the richest places in the world, and so like when you see that and you grow
Just
up
out
in
of
that,
curiosity?
just check it out. One of our friends actually been like 2 months in, he flew out. He called it. We were in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, staying at a KOA, and he. It was 1 o'clock in the morning where we were, it was 1 o'clock in the morning here, and he was like, "I'm trying to see you guys, like, fly out tomorrow."
Yeah.
And we're like, "Okay, we'll try and find a flight." And we found a flight for like 5 o'clock that morning. He flies out here, didn't tell his mom, didn't tell his girlfriend, nothing. He just like came out and visited us, and it was like
Spent the last month of the road trip with us.
What?
It was. I mean, like he
Without the girlfriend?
without the girlfriend.
Are they still together?
Yeah, they're still together.
Really?
Yeah.
That I would not have guessed that.
No, I mean, it was a rocky road. It was a rocky road, but it was funny because I mean, just think about it. Like he calls us. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. He gets a flight 4 hours later to fly out to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Wow.
Doesn't tell his mom. Doesn't tell his girlfriend. The whole thing. When he wakes up, or when he calls his girlfriend, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah." She thought it was a joke for like almost the whole day.
Oh my goodness.
and he's like, "No, I'm actually in Salt Lake City, Utah." And
she was like, "Oh my god."
she was like, "Free." He's like, "Yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna spend the rest of the last month of this road trip with them." And
a piece of advice for all the young men out there: we don't recommend going away with the Toolan brothers for a month without telling your girlfriend or your family.
But we do.
Excellent. I disagree, sir. We had a great time. Well, that is too funny. Again, we're joined by Nick and Brian Toolan here, talking about just kind of catching up actually after a stellar. You guys must have loved your time at Newburyport, though. I know. I know you guys are all well-seasoned travelers now and itching to get away to the next place. But this is when it comes down to it, this is the roots. This is home, right?
yeah, oh, definitely. Like Newburyport, it is really. I mean, it's a great place to grow up, and you get a lot of things with the high school and everything. Great high school. I mean, from talking to people around the country, it's funny when you go to Newburyport High School, if you have anything lower than a 3.4 GPA, you feel like you're failing, right? But if you talk to someone who's going out to school in Florida or Arizona, they're top of their class if they have a 2.5 GPA. So I mean, generalizations. But I actually met a kid who lived in Arizona who was top of his class. He had a 2.5 GPA.
Wow.
And so it's kind of just shows you the difference in academics around here versus other places in the country. So growing up in Newburyport, where also playing football at Newburyport, everyone revolves around the football, which was really cool because when me and Brian were freshmen in high school, that's when we first started building our names in football. We became friends with Dylan Guthrow, and we started working out with him, and then as soon as people started seeing that we would be putting up these heavier weights, they're like, "Oh, look at these kids," and then so then from there,
coaches started seeing you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We got our freshman year, we started on the JV team, and then we got brought up to the varsity team for a few games, and then our sophomore years we started, and then after our sophomore year we all of the seniors from our sophomore class voted us to be captains.
Now, how cool was that? I mean, you probably saw it coming, but I mean that was
the coolest part was my head coach Ed Gaudiano, he told me and Brian that we should run for captains. He was like, "You guys should be the first. Basically, he didn't say that, but he was like, I want you guys running for captains because like I see it in you, which was like huge respect. I mean, like,
had you ever really thought about it before?
I wasn't really thinking about it. It wasn't until like
it's probably not something you think.
No, it wasn't. I was like, because like especially in Newburyport, like you can only be a captain if you're a senior.
Yeah.
Right, and like so. I mean, also there were like other things coming in play where we had like a smaller junior class that year. So like, or the class that was going to be seniors was smaller. So like, I'm not saying that I would be a senior or I would have been the first junior captain on like at any school or whatever. But like, it was cool. Like Newburyport, it was funny because when you get in football in Newburyport, you meet so many old timers, you meet so many people, and like, so like you walk, like I'll walk downtown with people from like family from outside Massachusetts or friends from outside Massachusetts, and I'll walk downtown and I'll say hi to like 50 people downtown, or like
big
people will come, but well, I wouldn't say it's a fan base, it's more like just meeting people, like from football or from the high school or from like, you meet like kids and then you meet their parents and then you meet like their parents' friends somehow, and then like you go downtown and you like end up shaking 50 people's hands and everyone's just like, what's going on? I'm like, no, this is just Newburyport. Like that's another cool thing about Newburyport though. It's like
cool. It's a small town feel.
It is a small town.
Brian, how about you? There must have been a cool moment getting the did you see that coming, the captain thing, or
definitely. I mean, leading up to, like, before it happened, I kind of figured it would happen, but before I was asked to do it, I didn't even think about doing it at all. I mean, that, like, football was definitely a huge thing for me at that point. It was, like, my bread and butter, putting my heart and soul into that, and like, it was huge respect for sure, and I got to meet like some of the best people in Newburyport, hands down. The townies that used to play football, and especially people who also played for Ed Gaudiano because he was the coach for 28 years at Newburyport, and so you meet some really, really great people. And another great thing about Newburyport, like Nick was saying, is like there's all the people who used to live here and all the townies, they really got some crazy, crazy stories.
Oh, they do.
For sure.
I heard some of that. I think it was, you guys were there for Gaudiano's last game, right? That was your year?
Yep.
So I was down, that was that Thanksgiving Day game.
Right.
That thriller of a game, actually. But I interviewed him before the game. He didn't tell me. I guess he had told you guys, if I remember correctly.
He told us right before the game.
He told you right before the game. So he didn't. He decided not to share that with me for the radio that morning. But which is fine. He could tell his teammates and not me. That's perfectly fine. I didn't know him that well. Now if it was Coach Amin, I would have been upset. I would have expected that information from Coach Amin. I don't know Coach Gaudiano as well. But so that was the last game. But I was down in the end zone, and it was hilarious to me. I just had never like experienced, watching my old high school games was always from the stands, but with the alumni down there in the end zone, you got
people are tailgating those games.
It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
And they're literally like grown men, some have 30 to 50. Older maybe, I don't know. But like placing side bets on the game.
I know. It makes you feel like you're down south, because like Newburyport, it almost feels like it's not that. It doesn't feel that way for a lot of different sports. Like hockey, I think is like the other sport in Newburyport where it's kind of like that. But football, especially the Thanksgiving Day game, I was talking to my neighbor when they first he went to school when they first built up the stadium. And it was the first stadium with lights in the entire state and this side of the state of Massachusetts. And so they'd have like 4,000 people show up to every single Friday night game, which like for me to think about now is ridiculous. I wish I grew up then, when I was playing. But it's like I remember playing in that game that you're talking about, and I was crazy seeing that. So many people on that sideline
at that new stadium. It's a beautiful spot too.
Definitely.
The obviously, you guys, we started the show by talking about some of the injury issues that you guys had. Is there any of those injuries that you're kind of like? I wish I didn't go so hard in that play or something. Is there any regrets, I guess? I know it's kind of a tough question to look back, but...
any regrets? Definitely no regrets. I mean, like, if anyone... I mean, like... knowing me back then, if anyone tried to tell me to slow down or stop, I would have told them to shut up.
Well, that's what got you to where you were, right?
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah. And so, like, I mean, I definitely don't have any regrets. Actually, the only regret I have is not stretching more. Which is something that most people don't think about, but you gotta stretch or you're gonna hurt yourself. And so,
I'll back that. I played Monday Night Basketball last night, and we went a little harder, and I did not stretch appropriately, and I did not sleep well.
Yeah, no, I know.
So I just would like to back you up on that. Continue. You'll find this is a bigger problem as you get older. But
exactly. And I mean, so when I tore my ACL, I think basically that was because I was working out so much and every single day, multiple hours a day, just grinding in the gym.
You didn't read your Brady pliability book? Come on, man.
Come on, he didn't come out with it yet.
This is completely unfair.
Come on, Brady. What the heck?
Good job.
Good job. I mean, when I tore my ACL, I think it was basically because I wasn't stretching. It was just grinding as hard as I could in the gym and not doing any of the stretching part. When I broke my ankle, that put me in kind of a dark place for a little bit because it was just something that happened. It wasn't my knee. Yeah, it was my senior year. It wasn't my knee. My knee felt fine. Yeah. Everything was good. And we were playing Pentucket. It was a muddy game. I was running the football, and it was just a bad situation. I got tackled, and I got my leg caught under someone's leg. And
you don't hear muddy football too much these days with everything being turf. But
I know.
Pentucket's one of the few.
Pentucket. I hated playing at Pentucket because we would always because I think every time we played at Pentucket it would be Saturday morning because they didn't have lights, so we couldn't play Friday night there, and it would always be raining. I think every time we played Pentucket at home, it was raining and
Seattle
it was muddy. Exactly. Exactly. And so that one annoyed me, but eventually I got over it because it's I had fun playing football. I had a great time playing football. I met a lot of great people.
That's kind of a good one to come in the final minutes here. The show flies by, doesn't it? Especially with you guys. You guys make it go quick. What would you tell a kid to like that? Because these injuries, especially in the football field, they happen every single day, every single season. Some worse than others, some really bad. How do you cope with that? What do you tell the kid who gets that devastating injury? Never mind senior year, but
I tell him, you got to keep your head up because there's no.
As you know, it was hard to do.
Yeah, it is hard to do, but there's no point in letting yourself sink because I sunk for a while. I started failing school. I started skipping classes. I started going down a path I didn't want to go to, and when that happens, it's just more and more stuff keeps flying on top. You gotta, if it happens to you gotta just know that it's life, and life isn't fair ever.
And there's a lot more to life.
And there's a lot more to life than just playing sports. You know, obviously, I went out and had the best time of my life on a road trip with my twin brother. So that, and even when I was working 65, 70 hours a week, it was for something, and so it wasn't. That was something I could do without any problem. If I was working a 13-hour shift, I wouldn't care, because I was it's going to this. So find something else that you can put your mind to rather than sports.
That is good advice, Brian. That's you must have been in a kind of a weird spot when you see it. I mean, you can understand it, but when you see your brother going through a tough time like that, that's going to be excruciating for you, especially when you guys are so close, Oh
yeah, I mean, it's tough to see somebody who worked extremely hard to be in a certain spot, and then they're at that spot and they're doing really well, and then all of a sudden it's all taken from them. It almost feels like they got robbed, and it sucks. I mean, The best advice I can give to that is, one, if you get an injury, baby it. There's no reason to like push through the pain and like re-injure yourself. Like I've done that plenty of times, and he's done that plenty of times.
You're taking it easy with the brace on your leg right now.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I just re-injured myself. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not like but it's definitely tough. You know, like the best thing you can do is just to be there and like make sure they're involved in other ways than playing sports. You know, it's way harder said than done, but
yeah,
just got to be there. It's the biggest thing.
Well, you guys now here you sit, grown men, college boys.
Oh yes,
up in Maine,
educated.
Very good. Trying to stay out of trouble. At least trying to stay healthy.
Yeah, we'll say trying to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, you're doing a heck of a job there, right?
I know. Give me an A.
Well, we hope the leg gets better there. Tell the football guys to go easy on you doing the flag football next time. Well, this was a pleasure, fellas.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Any last thoughts for the people of Newburyport?
Stay woke.
Stay woke.
Stay woke. He's making up slogans as we go here.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what? Actually, you guys are two former football captains. What would you tell the middle schooler? I always like to end with this question, especially with guys who had just such a full high school experience in many ways. What would you tell the middle schooler that's kind of thinking about high school, thinking about going to Newburyport, thinking about playing sports, all that stuff? What's the advice?
Don't be nervous, but if you are, it's normal. And if you're trying to play sports, get in the weight room as soon as possible and just like get on it early, because when you make it part of your schedule, then it's way easier. Like you said with sleeping, you know, you like at first you're not a morning person, then you make it part of your schedule and it gets.
Yeah, my boss forced me, but
you're right. The coaches will force you to. But also, you know, high school it's really not that bad.
High school is way better than middle school, so I mean,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I went at a different time than you guys. But, favorite state in the country, boys?
I would have to say Wyoming.
Brian?
Utah,
Wyoming or Utah? Okay. What's the favorite food along the way? Real quick, rapid fire questions.
brisket in Texas.
Brisket, okay.
Brisket in Texas. I would have to say, what was it? It was like Biscuit Head in North Carolina.
There's your business. I knew we were going to get big business in
Biscuit. No, it was Biscuit Head. They had these extravagant biscuits with like all these different. I don't know. It was amazing.
15 seconds each. Best memory from the trip.
Best memory from the trip was staying in a hostel right outside the Grand Tetons in Wyoming.
And then for me, it was staying in a hostel in South Brunswick, Georgia, in a treehouse.
In a treehouse?
Yeah, it was
real quickly. I need to give me one quick nugget on that.
Well, it's called Hostel in the Forest.
Yeah.
It's in a thicket in Georgia.
Wow.
And yeah, no, it's ran by these hippies in Georgia. And it's absolutely awesome. Like, you're not allowed to have your phone out in public spaces.
We just stumbled upon
it.
Hostels on the internet.
We're going to have you guys on again and talk about this. I'm going to look that up immediately when you guys do.
Awesome.
It's very cool.
You totally should.
You guys, it was
have their business card.
You have a business card? Good Lord, a treehouse business card. Fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Fellas, thank you guys so much. It was a blast.
All right,
it was great catching up with you guys.
Yeah, great catching up with you.
Really enjoyed it. And let's do this again next time. You guys are interesting guys. We haven't had you on in a while. So last time was a phone interview, so it's better seeing you guys in person.
Yeah.
All the best. Good luck in Maine. When do you go back?
20th.
Good luck to you both. All right.
You
all
as
right.
well.
Nick and Brian Toolan. There you go. What a great way to start the week off on Choppa Afternoon Drive. We'll see you guys Thursday. My name is Drew Moholland. Have a good rest of the day. Bye bye now.